I'm Bob Ross, and I'd like to welcome you to the 22nd Joy of Painting series. First of all, let me thank you for inviting us back for another series of painting shows. And if this is your first time with us, allow me to give you a personal invitation to drag up your paints and spend a relaxing half hour with us as we put some of nature's masterpieces on canvas. So I tell you what, let's start out today, have them run all the colors across the screen that you need to paint along with us at home. And while they're doing that, come on up here and let me show you what I've got done already. Have a 18 by 24 inch canvas, but you use whatever size is convenient for you. And this is a pre-stretched double prime canvas. And I've covered the entire canvas with just a thin, even coat of liquid white. And the liquid white's on there only to make the canvas wet. It makes it slick. It allows us to actually blend the painting on the canvas rather than working ourselves to death here on the palette. So I tell you what, let's grab an old brush and let's just have some fun today. And we'll start today with an old 2-inch brush. We'll go into a small amount of the Prussian blue. This is a very strong color. Takes very, very little paint. Just pull a little out and then tap the bristles into it. And I'm going to reach right here and get a little bit of the midnight black and just sort of mix them together. So we have black and blue, or blue and black, whatever your preference. Let's go right up here to the canvas. Now then, in doing landscapes, normally you want the whole thing to be darker at the top and then lighter toward the horizon. And by starting at the top and making little crisscross strokes, allowing the color to blend with the liquid white that's on the canvas, that will happen automatically. It's very easy, just like so. But just make little X's, little crisscross strokes to allow that color to blend. There. If you were working on a dry canvas, this would be very difficult. But since this canvas is wet and you're continually blending color, it's very simple. Very simple. This is truly the lazy man's way of painting. There we go. And I think I'll have some big fluffy clouds in this one today. So I'm just going to leave an area sort of open here, and that's where my clouds will live. All right, and we'll come down, oh, I don't know, maybe to about like there. Just sort of let it happen. Don't worry about it. If you painted with me before, you know that we don't make mistakes. We just have happy accidents, because very quickly you can learn to work with anything that happens here. I think I'll have a little water in this, so while I have that same color on the brush, just Prussian blue and midnight black, just going to put in a little indication of some water here. Maybe I'll put a little more color on my brush, make it a little darker. There we go. All right. But pull from the outside in and leave an area open here. If everything works just right, that'll look like a little sheen of light coming across the water. And it'll certainly enhance your painting. There, a little more of the color. We'll go on the other side, do the same thing. But pull from the outside in. See, if you start here and go across, look what a horrible line you get here. And then you have to really work to blend that out. So start from the outside and pull toward the center, or wherever you want your little light sheen to be here. Okay, let me wash the old brush. That's the fun part of this whole technique. Of course, they don't think so around the station here, because I've covered everything, as you will see, with the paint thinner. Shake off the excess and just beat the devil out of it. Okay, now with the clean brush, we can just go across here and blend all this together. There. But see, that light spot still remains in there. It's not very distinct, but it's strong enough to indicate what we're trying to show. And we can blend the sky. And I don't want to overblend it. I like to have little areas that show variation, so it's just not a flat dead sky. But in your painting, you sort of look at it and you decide how you want it. And you step back and take a look-see every once in a while so you can see it from a distance. There we are. Because if you back up and look at your painting, it's much easier to see. Sometimes when you're standing this close to it, it's sort of difficult to see. Tell you what, let's use a 1-inch brush today. I'm going to make a happy little cloud up here in the sky. For that, let's take just titanium white. I'll be right back. Don't go away. A little bit of the bright red. Very small amount, though. Put a little sunshine on this cloud. Okay, let's go up here. Now then, very gently, and all we're doing is just sort of tapping the canvas. Just let the corner of the brush touch and begin thinking where your little cloud would live in your world. And this piece of canvas is your world. And on here you can do anything that your heart desires. You can create any illusion that you want here. You can find peace and tranquility here, or you can make big storms. It just depends on what your mood is that day. There. Painting is sort of a way of capturing a second of time and a mood, putting it on canvas. And maybe 100 years from now, somebody will look at your painting and they'll know that you had a fantastic day. And that on this day, you truly did experience the joy of painting. There we are. Just sort of let these little things just work around and have fun. Let them play. Clouds are very free. They may be one of the freest things in nature. They just sort of float around the sky and have a good time. There we are. Okay, now we'll go back to a 2-inch brush. Be sure it's good and dry. And very carefully, just going to take the corner of the brush, the top corner, and just go in little tiny circles. Little tiny circles. I don't want to touch the top edge up here at all yet. Very gently. This is 2 hairs and some air. Just whisper light. Whisper light. Because you can destroy these little things that you've made in here very easy. Very light. Barely touching. Very gentle. Caress it. There we are. Now, I just beat the brush to knock off any excess paint. Now, very lightly, we can fluff this cloud. We can lift it. But this is a very gentle touch. Just barely lifting upward. But you can see how that cloud's beginning to fluff up. There. And then very lightly, 1 hair and some air. Just go across. And that takes out all the little tap marks, brings everything together. It makes some of the most fantastic clouds you've ever seen. And it's very simple. All right. Shoot. We got a nice little cloud there. Now then, maybe today, tell you what, let's build a very simple little mountain. Everybody seems to like mountains, so let's make us one. We'll take some black, some Prussian blue. We can get a little Van Dyke brown too. What the heck? Maybe even a little alizarin crimson. Just a good dark color. There. Okay, now pull it out as flat as you can get it. Take the knife, cut across, and get a little roll of paint, and it should live right out on the edge of the knife. You can see how it's right out on the edge there. Okay, let's go up here. Now then, you have to make a major decision. Come right up here. Now you have to decide in your world where your mountain lives. Maybe it lives right here. And you can make any kind of mountain that you want. It's up to you. Up to you. We'll make something maybe today that maybe it sort of resembles the Tetons or mountains in that area. And the Tetons have a lot of little points on them, little jagged, ragged things, and that's what we'll make. But you can make a mountain that's very smooth. It's totally up to you. Once again, painting is a very individual thing. That's the reason we use no patterns or no tracings, because then you're just painting somebody else's thing. I want to teach you to make a world that belongs only to you, and it's unique to you and your personality. There. Okay. Now we'll take a 2-inch brush, and I want to grab this paint and pull it. It does 2 things. Maybe the most important one is it removes excess paint, so the next layer will stick much easier. But it also creates this nice misty area at the base of the mountain. And mountains are always more distinct on the top than they are on the bottom, if you can see the entire mountain. Because there's mist, and now we have wonderful pollution that hang around down here at the bottom, and it breaks up and diffuses light. So that's why you have a misty look at the base of mountains. All right. And by using brush strokes when you pull this, I hope that'll show up. But you can literally lay out all your highlights and shadows. Can you see what's happening? Without being committed. It's sort of a sneaky little way of seeing what your mountain's going to look like before you paint it. But you can lay out everything. That easy. And then, let's just we'll just use that same old titanium white right here. Pull it out, once again, as flat as you can get it. Cut across in our little roll of paint. See, let's do that one more time, because that's so important. Pull it out flat, cut across, little roll of paint. That easy. Let's go up here. Now then, you have to start making some big decisions. Where does the highlights live on this mountain? Maybe somewhere right along in here. No pressure. No pressure. 3 hairs and nowhere. It's that easy. I've mentioned before in other shows, when I was teaching my son Steve to paint, I used to tell him, just pretend you're a whisper floating right across the mountain. And you're not even touching it. You're just floating right across there. There. See how you can create all kinds of little things. Anything that you want. You just decide where these little things live in your world. And just barely touching. And you want the paint to break like this. That's what makes all those beautiful little things that you see in there. And it happens automatically. All you have to do is learn to make the knife barely touch the canvas gently. We receive a lot of letters. One of the things that I hear over and over again is people are having trouble doing this. Normally, you can equate it to one of 2 problems. First of all, the paint's too thin. We use a very firm, dry paint, much firmer than traditional oil painting paints. Secondly, the pressure that you're applying, if you apply too much pressure, it's going to look just like you iced a cake. And we're not looking for that. We want to have all those nice breaks in there so it's very pretty. And people won't believe what you did. Every day I get letters from people and they say they've watched the show and they've tried it and it's working. And they take the paintings and they show it to friends and relatives and they don't believe that they painted them. That's always wonderful to hear. For a little shadow here, I'm taking a little Prussian blue and white and just mixing it together. Once again, you could even use a small edge, see, and pull out a little roll of paint. Or you can use a small knife, whichever is convenient for you. We have 2 different size knives, so pick out the one that you like. And you can go back in here now and begin putting in some little shadow areas. I want this to remain quite dark. I don't want to get too much going on back here. These areas are deep in shadows here. There we are. But this is where you begin forming all these little things. This is where the little mountain goat lives, right up in here. He needs a little place to call home to, just like the rest of us. And you have to take care of God's little creatures. There. Maybe over in here. Like that. Wherever. Just sort of let your imagination go. And you can come right along here in any place you want to show a little break in here. You just put a little shadow and automatically it'll happen. Let's take another good, clean, dry 2-inch brush. And I want to create mist at the base of this mountain. So all you need to do is tap. But follow these angles when you tap. Don't just chop across. It'll look like somebody took a big razor blade and cut your mountain off. Just tap and then gently lift upward. The same angle that the mountain flows here. Same angle. It'll create a beautiful, soft, misty effect right at the base of your mountain. Okay, shoot, we got a pretty good looking little mountain there too. All right, let's take the old round brush today. I'm gonna use that same basic mountain color. We had Prussian blue and black, a little alizarin crimson. There, I think we had some Van Dyke brown too. I'm gonna reach up back, get a little sap green and put in there too. Let's start making some foliage that lives back here in front of this mountain. And with the old round brush here, we could just take and just begin tapping. Just decide basically where you want these things to live. There, maybe there's a bigger one right there. A big strong one lives right up there. Wherever. You have to make big decisions. There they go. Okay, a little bit more of the color. All right. Maybe there's a big tree here on the side. But just sort of let your imagination go. Think if you were a tree where you'd like to live. This tree, he lives right here in front of the mountain. He has one of the prettiest views. He looks out over this mountain and watches everything happen. Sometimes you get carried away and these trees just keep growing on you. That's all right. This is your tree, so you make it any way that you want. Any way that you want. In your world, you can have anything. Anything. There. Okay. Right on down, maybe somewhere in there. We don't care at this point. Let's see, mix up a little more color. Black, blue, some brown, a little crimson, a little sap green. Ran out of color. There. Now then, maybe in our world, we'll have... Let's get crazy. Maybe there's another tree over here. That'll sort of block everything in. Make sort of a nice composition. That way it'll force your eye to go in here and look at this mountain when we're done. There, got a little hair there. If you get a little hair, just use a corner of your brush and lift it off the canvas. No big deal. These brushes are natural bristles, so they do shed. There. Till you get those out. All right. Okay, now maybe we'll have some reflections in our water. So all you have to do is just bring some of this color right down. Just let it go. Something like that. If we have a tall tree on this side, then we're going to have very long reflections in the water. All right. Okay, now, I have to make a big decision. Where does water and land meet? Somewhere right in here in my world. There. So just begin pulling this down. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but somewhere in here we'll have all this come together. Doesn't really matter at this point. Now very lightly go across. And that'll create the illusion of instant reflections in your water. That easy. Now I have several of each brush going. Let me pick up another little round brush here. And with it, let's put some nice highlights. And I would take a little cad yellow, a little yellow ochre. I'll be right back. I'm going to pick up a little sap green. But mix these colors on the brush. And that way you have a multitude of things happening in that brush. Look at all the different tones and colors. I don't know if you could ever mix that if you just sat and tried to mix each one individually. Okay, let's go up in here. And I just want to put a little indication of some little things, some little highlights on these trees. Just tap. That's all you got to do. Just tap it. But think about form and shape. Don't just hit it random. Think about where the light would play through here and all these little things would shine and sparkle. There's another one. These are just some little background trees. Okay, there he lives, right there. And it helps to make up little stories about your scene. Give these little characters personalities, and then they become individuals to you. They become very special. Become your friends. I want to add a little bit of the Indian yellow and a little bright red here and there. Maybe we'll give this a little indication that maybe Jack Frost has been through here and had a good day, and things are beginning to change colors. There. And you can get as wild with autumn scenes as you want. There's some of the most beautiful reds and golds in nature. There we are. Tell you what, a little more of the sap green, a little cad yellow. Maybe this little big tree here. Think about individual things there. And once again, this is just going to end up being a background tree. I think I'm going to put some things in front of it. But you want to make it look pretty good because a lot of it's going to show through. And people will think you work for months trying to get in there and put all those little individual things in there. And we don't tell them any different. That's our secret. That's our secret. Because a lot of people will never believe you could paint this much detail using a big old crazy brush like this. But you can. There. You can do anything, as long as you believe you can do it. You know, and it helps to mentally, when you decide you're going to paint a picture, paint it mentally several times and get the strokes sort of worked out in your mind. Know what you want before you start. Have a general idea of what you want. But do it mentally, just like athletes. They psych themselves up before a big event. You can do that for painting too. Okay, tell you what, maybe over here we'll put a nice little sparkler. Okay, before we go too far here, I better decide what we're going to do. I'm going to put some nice little tree trunks back in there. So we'll take some paint thinner. I'll just use some Van Dyke Brown for that. Maybe a little dark sienna mixed with it. Give it a little flavor. But this paint should be very thin, almost like ink. This is a script liner brush. It holds a lot of paint, but it needs to be very thin. Let's go up here. Maybe, yep, right here lives a big old strong tree. A little more of the paint thinner, load the brush full again. But let the brush wiggle and jiggle. So it's just not a plain old straight telephone pole looking tree. I sort of like for trees to have character. There, be individuals. I don't want all my trees to grow up and be just telephone poles. There we go. But maybe in your world, that's what you want. And there's freedom on this canvas. You can do anything here. You can even string wire on your tree if you want to. It's okay. There. Over in there, this is a tree that lives right along here. And he too has a beautiful view of the mountain. All right. And we can come back, and I'll take a little paint thinner and a little white with at least a little touch of bright red in it. You can come right back in here and add some highlights to your tree. The mountain tells you the light's coming from the right side. That easy. You can make that little tree just stand out there. Okay, back to my brown. Don't want the other side left out. It'll get jealous. And nothing worse than a mad tree, I tell you. Maybe there's a little tree that lives right here in front of that great big one. But by doing it this way, painting that tree first and then painting trees in front of it, it creates that illusion of depth and distance in your painting. It's not flat. It's not flat. So many paintings I see are just very flat. This way you build depth. You'll be able to see between things and look back in there and It's fantastic. I've painted literally tens of thousands of paintings, and I still get excited every time I see this work. Every time there. Okay, just all kinds of little limbs and sticks and twigs and wherever you think they should live. But if that paint doesn't flow for you, chances are you don't have enough paint thinner. Just add a little more paint thinner and it will begin sticking. I'm going to go back to my round brush, go into a little yellow ochre, a little bit of bright red, and just mix them together. We'll put maybe a little more of the red. Let's sparkle this up. We're going to have fall colors. Let's get crazy. Maybe on this one here we can see, ooh, that's a nice one. See there? But right over the top of that other tree. It's all right. We don't care. There. See? Just pretend it's not there. Don't pay any attention to it, because you want it to look natural. In nature, one tree does not worry about being in front of another tree. It just grows wherever it can get the most light and water. And that's the way we want our paintings to look. There. And maybe there's a few bright little things on this side. Look at there. This little round brush, just fantastic things. Even if you've never painted before, this son of a gun will just drop them right in there. Okay. Maybe there's a little land down here. We need something for all this to stand on. I'll take a little Van Dyke brown. Let's go right in here. And let's decide where the land lives. And this is just a base color. We'll come back and highlight it. Tell you what, maybe there's a little peninsula that lives right out here. Wherever you want it. Just sort of drop it in. On the other side here, just a little. There it goes. There. Now, we can take a little titanium white, little dark sienna. Come just mix them together, but loosely so the color is not overmixed. And just barely caress the top of that. Just let it pick up here and there. Don't push hard, though, with the knife. This is just like laying snow on the mountain. Because if you push hard, it's going to destroy the undercolor, and we don't want that. Now, let's take us a fan brush. I'm going to dip it in a little liquid white just to thin the paint, because one of our golden rules, thin paint will stick to a thick paint. Take the same colors, mix them on the brush here. All right, let's go up in here. Just going to push upward with a fan brush. Just pop in a few little grassy areas that live right back in here. Follow the lay of the land here. That's very important. This is where you create that flow of the land. That's where it's created, right here. Just by making these little areas, you can see exactly how this flows. There we go. Don't kill all your little dark areas. These dark areas at the base of trees and stuff are extremely important. They're the shadows deep in there. It's where the little bunny rabbit hides. And he has to have a place to hide. Take a little liquid white, pull it out very flat, cut across. Let's get a little paint on here. Let's just put us in a little water line. This light area separates the two darks and cleans up the bottom, brings it all together. Just brings it together. Act like you're trying to cut a hole right in the canvas. And this whole canvas is it's tough. Very tough. Okay. Now then. Here we are. Yeah, let's get crazy. Let's get crazy. We got a minute or so left, and you know, if you paint with me, I like big trees. We have one, see, right in front of everything, though. Lives right there. Just Van Dyke brown. We take that same brown and white we used. Let's just touch, barely touch. Give it a little pull here. Just a little pull. See? Maybe this old tree. Maybe it's about dead. Just put a few limbs on it and let it sort of just hang around out here. Little paint thinner and the liner brush. And we'll just put a big old limb here and there. Just like so. A few of them still hanging on. Still hanging on. Not too many. Don't want to ruin the illusion that this old tree is just hanging around here and dead. Okay. I think we have a pretty nice little painting there. Hope you've enjoyed this one. And from all of us here, I'd like to wish you happy painting, and God bless, my friend.